As you wished, I am recording this interaction with your consent for the board to review. This is a one-on-one interview that will be admitted as testimony in your case. Dr. Michael Hawkes, you have been accused of malpractice, mistreatment of staff and patients, as well as dishonesty with the administration of Duke Medical Center. You may speak on your defense and ask questions at any time.
Thank you. It's so amazing what you can accomplish when you have the upper hand regarding a patient's health while they're as conscious as a rock.
The board requests that you maintain your language, especially as this can impact our decision regarding your employment.
I have been maintaining it. Otherwise, I may forget how to enunciate how fucking stupid this whole meeting is and accidentally say flicking.
You know that's not what I meant.
This investigation has been a complete show for all of you. You already have your minds made up based on the recent budgeting decisions. I might as well reveal myself as the one honest person involved. This whole thing started as some sort of revenge plot by 3 of my 4 diagnosticians, whom I will not be naming, though the math is easy to figure out. A few months ago, we had an incident with a colorblind patient. When I expressed strong frustration in one of my doctors sticking his own contact lenses in the patient's eyes, they decided that I was in the wrong. That's the story I've been told. Dr. Frank made the contact implant decision himself, and Dr. Leslie negligently stood by while he did it. As discipline, I removed the 2 doctors from recovery room duty.
Why did you not report this issue to the board when this alleged incident occurred?
According to the employee handbook, the action of discipline is left to the discretion of supervisors, of which in Dr. Frank's case, I am. I thought I had the case handled pretty well.
Moving on from that item in the report, we have far more to discuss, but you are free to leave at any point.
Hey guys, can we all applaud Tracy for this performance? She's bound any day now to achieve an Emmy Award for her attempts at performative fairness.
Hawks, enough! This is an interview. It is just a conversation between you and me right now.
I'll add to the record. This hospital is teetering on the edge of bankruptcy because of my contract's heavy fees that come with termination. You can't afford a human resources person to interview me.
This was your idea. You wanted to speak your piece. I'm trying to help you.
Okay, I'm sorry. What's the next item?
Last year, there was an incident regarding a splenectomy, which allegedly, in your own words, was due to your doctors treating the patient's spleen like a fidget spinner.
Jesus fucking Christ! What the hell were you thinking? You almost killed our patient with the attempted splenectomy and misdiagnosis? You're lucky this guy doesn't sue our asses because you treated his spleen like a fidget spinner. God damn all of you. Well, beautiful. This is a clip show now.
Is that confirmation of it? You paused for a bit there, like you were recording the incident in your head.
Confirmation of a clip show.
Confirmation of the description of a patient's spleen.
I guarantee you I said something like that. My doctors get antsy sometimes and play with organs like they're kids stuck in detention.
So it was hyperbole.
Yes. Fidget spinner was hyperbole.
Thank you, and...
It was much closer to being treated like a Rubik's Cube. Given the intelligence of Dr. Gary, I imagine he twisted and turned the spleen in multiple directions without making a bit of progress. Anyway, we found the correct treatment. Patient went home, and it seems our asses didn't get sued because we're discussing this freely.
Do you know what happened to the patient after they left the hospital?
No, nor do I care. The word outpatient means they're no longer in. I'm a trendy person who only cares about stuff that's in. What a patient does while they're out isn't any of my concern.
Mr. Scott Davidson died of a ruptured spleen 5 days later. The painkillers fooled him into thinking his condition had been properly addressed when in fact he was dying, and it was far too late to get any help when his prescription ran out.
He only had 5 days of painkillers prescribed?
No, he took more than what was prescribed and ran out.
Then it sounds like he didn't die due to a Rubik's rearranged spleen. It sounds like he took too many pills. The patient had a whole other problem, which is addiction. Oh well, case closed. Next.
Last summer, there was a fire at the hospital. You and your doctors elected to take the elevator instead of the stairs, causing you all to pass out from smoke inhalation. We never did solve how that fire started.
That was at the former hospital. I recall seeing an inexperienced chef put a toaster in the oven, then lied to us and said it was steam, not smoke. It would all be fine.
That doesn't sound true in the slightest.
The fire investigation later said the fire didn't happen and it had to be Aurora Australis. Try making sense of that.
You vandalized the investigation prior to publication, Hawks. That's what our IT department determined.
And when you sought a second opinion, is it true you asked the same department the same question a second time?
This isn't the life and times of Hawks, and that's irrelevant. The reason I'm bringing this up is because we're looking for a timeline of when your team began making poor judgment calls, either harming or killing your patients afterwards.
The killing patients thing isn't something we do. We all took the hypocritical oath in medical school, unsure if that was standard at the community med school you attended.
It's a Hippocratic oath.
See, I knew you went somewhere where they couldn't spell hypocrite properly.
Hawks, you're making this worse for yourself. This is all on the record. On to the next piece, which is regarding the allegations of killing your patients. You put 2 of your doctors in charge of a heart transplant for their colleague, Dr. Kelly. The operation was unsuccessful, and she never regained consciousness. The coroner later determined she had died due to the heart bypass machine, under the auspices of Frank and Gary. The hospital also lost power that evening due to the earthquake that occurred on July 19th.
Okay, since we're on the record, there's a ton of context missing you're just glossing over. Let's talk about the fact that the night before there was an extra... What are you doing?
None of what you're about to say is relevant, and it's not good for the record.
Oh, it's not good for your record?
Look, Hawks, I'm doing us a favor. I'm not one for censorship, but...
Unless it involves your leaked nudes.
Shut up! Just shut the hell up! I'm sincerely sick of your increasing use of sexual or misogynistic language towards me. It's bad enough that you've gotten worse, that now it's rubbing off on Gary. And when I go to get advice on how to handle it, I keep being told, oh, just ignore them. Just ignore them. Meanwhile, you just get to continue pushing my buttons. Your latest stunt in hopes of being fired involving you threatening the life of a patient just an hour ago. I have a serious job and a serious life to maintain, and I don't get to play the same game as you.
You're right. I'm sorry. I did push things too far, and there was a period of time where you did have solid responses that I couldn't care less about, but respected the effort. The 2 functioning legs comment. That was pretty bad, but you didn't think twice about saying it, and I was left without a comeback of my own. That's impressive.
Thank you. I probably shouldn't have said that in the first place, though. And now that we have a board of directors controlling my language tightly, those days need to be over.
I'm sorry for getting us into this mess. With respect to your wishes, I need to discuss the case with the alien, but I won't make you record it because you will need the context beyond my time of employment.
I would like to return to it later in this session. Now I have to make up an excuse why there was a splice in this interview.